everybody. It's Servette Hassan. It's Sunday night. The name of the show is Intuitive Inc. And welcome, beautiful people. We have a really great show tonight. I got a lot of comments on it. A lot of people said they were going to tune in because I have Kac Young on the line, and she's written a book called The Healing Art of Essential Oils, and that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. And they can do amazing things. They're not only can mentally heal you, but physically as well. There's all kinds of great it's amazing what you can do with essential oils. So we're going to dig right into that. But first off, Kac's fascinating because she's earned 3 doctorate degrees, a Ph.D. in natural health, a doctorate in naturopathy, I can say that, and a doctorate in clinical hypnotherapy. And then she's got her own practice where she counsels and something called biohypnology, which we'll talk to her about as well. But on top of that, she's also written like a dozen books, besides The Healing Art of Essential Oils, and she's also written one which I kind of found fascinating, The Quick Guide to Bach Flower Remedies, which was awesome. So, and I read The Healing Art of Essential Oils, which is how I also found out that when she wasn't getting all these PhDs, she was also a licensed general aviation pilot at 18. And then she went on to be a producer in television. She was producing and directing in television for 30 plus years. I don't know where you found the time. Hi, Kac.
Hi, Servette. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, thank you, and I really appreciate it because it's Sunday night, and it's your time, and your downtime, I'm sure. And I don't know where you're calling from. Where are you calling from?
Ventura, California.
Oh, good. So you're on the time zone, which is good. So at least it's not late there, but it's still Sunday night. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time to do this with me. I appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome. I had to negotiate with my puppies because Sunday is their day, but they said an hour's okay.
Okay. Well, my puppy does too, because she it's her day too. So yeah, she's like, you cut the walk short? Anyway, I don't know how you did all of this in one lifetime, but you did, because there's like a dozen books at least. This is a great book. You were a producer, director in television. Comedy, variety, drama, music shows. You were doing it all. And then on top of that, you were vice president of television production and development for Universal Studios. So, this is amazing. A great resume. And just a great life's work. And then now you're really helping people with the whole essential oils thing. And I did read in your book, so you can tell me if I'm right or not, but at some point when you were producing and directing, you said a stage manager just dropped dead during rehearsal.
Well, that's correct. It was actually kind of back in the old days. Cher had a variety series on CBS. Mm-hmm. And I was the stage manager. I worked my way up through the ranks to become, finally a producer and director. But I originally started out as stage manager, and I was the assistant stage manager on the Cher show. And the fun part was I got to walk all the celebrities in and take care of Chris Christopherson and Elton John, all those people that showed up for Cher. Yeah. But one day our stage manager, who was a lovely man, he was a former dancer and he was thin and fit, he just plopped dead in front of everybody that morning. Now, 2 things happened. I had to become the head stage manager for the day, so that threw me into a tizzy. But there he was lying there, and he had a heart attack at 55. So that changed my life because I was in my 20s, and I said, well, this is a very stressful area to be in. I wanted to say, a profession, but the entertainment industry is extremely competitive. It is high, it vacuums up your time because you have to work so many long hours and you have to be on the whole time. So when he dropped dead, I said, how am I going to stay in this industry? Because back then, as a woman, you had to work twice as hard in order to be able to move ahead. You had to really show your chops. Oh, yeah. And I decided I didn't want to die. I didn't want this to kill me at 55. So I began to take health-related courses and classes and study when I wasn't working. I spent my weekend studying. I went to various different trainings up and down California coast. If they had something on health and spirituality, I was there. So I really groomed myself so that I could, in my later life, which is now, help people balance stress, maintain a good life, stay healthy, and enjoy what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm all about now, and I thank that stage manager for giving up his life to show me what I needed to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, nothing happens by accident, and you were being shown and directed to what you needed to pursue. So on your free time, you were not only a stage manager, but you were learning, right?
Yes, I was learning, and I was, looking into spiritual paths, and I was trying to be the best person I could, really.
Well, right. I find it funny because I know when I was young, and I'm a good spiritual person now, but back then I kind of wished a couple of my bosses would drop dead, and they didn't. So I'm like, I really wish.
Well, that was fortunate.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, and that was his path. But, and I'm sure that, working those long hours and alcohol and cigarettes, because I remember those days. I was around. I'm 58. So I watched the Cher show, but then that was a very different time and place. People were smoking at work even, Remember?
Oh my gosh. Yes. It was just everywhere, and you couldn't avoid it. So you had to make a conscious choice for your own health. In fact, provided you knew it. If you yourself knew that it was unhealthy, and back then, people were just figuring out what was healthy and what wasn't.
Right. No, that's quite an experience. So that set you on a path, because I know you've done other books that, 21 Days to the Love of Your Life, Discover Your Spiritual Gene, Dancing with the Feng Shui even, so there's,
yes.
So you were kind of evolving with the whole spiritual idea and the whole health idea as well as you went, right?
Yes. In my beginning stages, I went to India with Terry Cole Whitaker and some other mentors and experienced what that is like when you're, sort of like the precursor to Eat, Pray, Love. So I experienced that, and it changes you. When you go deep into spirituality, it shifts you.
When did you go to India with Terry?
Probably about in the 80s, I would say.
Oh,
84, 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just saw her I call her, she's one of my mentors. I call her my other mother. So.
Oh, she's just wonderful. She wrote one of the testimonials for the Essential Oils book. She loved it.
I read that, and I didn't know how that happened. But I have written 3 books for Llewellyn. My last one was Life in Trans. Well, anyway, she's done a blurb for each one of them, and they're in the book too. So,
great! I have seen your work. I'm fascinated by it, and I really can't wait to read it. I'm excited. I think you are extraordinary.
Oh, well, thank you. I think you're pretty you're smart. You got a lot of going on here. I do not have 3 PhDs. Trust me. So I don't even have one. So, but no, she's a great teacher though too, because really honestly, Terry was around, before anybody was doing this kind of work, especially a woman. So it was extra difficult for her, but I've learned a lot from her. So and eventually it took you into the healing arts, which I think is awesome. So was it because essential oils healed you?
Well, I use essential oils and Bach flowers and the chakras and crystals and pretty much whatever I have studied, I'll use it with a client, depending on their sensitivity, depending on what they're in tune with, and depending on what they're comfortable with. So I use all of these as tools. I wouldn't say that one particular one stands out for me as a choice. I always sit with my client and find out where they resonate, what they're comfortable with, and then I will introduce some options to them and for them.
Right. Okay, I see. Yeah, well, that's good to not limit it. That's for sure. I know essential oils have been used for, I had bad Chinese food last night, so I'm not in great shape today. My stomach's been very upset. Something from what I ate last night. And I went straight to peppermint oil this morning. So I know it works, It really helped me. And I know that they've been used for pain, for aphrodisiacs, skin creams, weight loss, insect repellents, household. I mean, they've been used for everything. But so why don't you explain to people out there that are listening, what exactly is an essential oil?
Well, an essential oil is the essence or the core of the plant product and the plant compounds itself. What they distill it, they enfleurage it, they use concretes and chemicals sometimes. It depends on what the oil is that determines exactly how it is extracted from the plant matter itself. But suffice it to say that it is extracted, it is distilled. Some process takes it down to its very, very core, so that it is two things. It is the chemical compounds of the plant itself in its strongest form, and it is its aroma in its most potent form at the same time. So when you end up with this product, you have a collapsed version of the most concrete atomic power you can of this plant.
Right.
There's nothing stronger.
Right. Okay, so now that's why I think it's important that it be you use something organic.
Yes, and there's a lot of materials out there. There is a lot of websites out there. People will also tell you, drop a drop here in a cup of tea and ingest it. And no, there are some rules, and I'd like to kind of go through them if you wouldn't mind.
Oh no, absolutely, because this is what it's about.
They're very important, and now that you can go purchase a little kit of essential oils at, a bath store, or you can get it at a clothing store, we're looking here at some really dicey suppliers, perhaps. So I always say, always buy organic and use organic or wild-crafted essential oils only. Now, if you have some that aren't organic, I'll tell you at the end of the program how you can use them so you don't waste them. But do not put anything that isn't organic or wild-crafted into your precious body or onto your precious body. You do not want to gamble with this, because just as concentrated as they are down to the very molecular composition of the essence of the plant, so too are the pesticides and chemicals. They are also reduced, concentrated, and powerful. You don't want that anywhere near you, and you certainly don't want it in the air or around your children. So they have to be organic. Never use them neat. Never use them out of the bottle. They have to be diluted. Why? Because they're so concentrated. So you must find a carrier oil, and a carrier oil is something like a sweet almond oil, an olive oil, something that's an argan oil, grapeseed oil. But these are not just the ones off the shelf in the grocery store. These are also the ones that are highly distilled and processed organically, and they're pure. Never ingest them, and don't ever suggest to anybody to ingest them. They're not supposed to be ingested, except if you're under highly medical supervision or a certified aromatherapist with a lot of experience, and they know what they're doing. And don't use on children, pregnant women, or people with severe heart disease or liver disease, or anybody with epilepsy. Remember that essential oils work directly with the brain. Mm-hmm. When you inhale them, 95% of the essential oil molecules and aroma go into your lungs, and 5% go directly into the brain. They cross what they call the blood-brain area connection, and they go straight into the limbic system in the cortex of the brain. So you don't want to have anything that is possibly contaminated. always follow the dilution chart. And there's a dilution chart certainly on my site, and the Tisserand Society has one. I have two charts. I have the Tisserand chart, plus I have my own PDF of dilutions. You don't want to use it neat. Even if people say, oh, that won't hurt you. You can have chamomile, or you can have tea tree or lavender. It's just fine. Just dab it right behind your ears. No, don't do that. You don't know if you're going to cause sensitization for yourself, which means if you have any allergic reaction to that essential oil in any way, it is going to sensitize you for the rest of your life so that you cannot be around a lavender product, lavender in a cream or anything if you've sensitized yourself to lavender or any one of the other essential oils. So I always tell people to do a patch test. Dilute your essential oil, whatever it is, let's say it's tea tree, dilute it at least 1-to-1, 1 drop carrier oil to 1 drop, and test it. Put it on your arm. And are you going to do that with your finger? No, you're going to do it with a toothpick or a Q-tip, and you're going to watch for half an hour and then an hour, and then you're going to put a Band-Aid over it. And then if in the morning you have no redness or swelling or reaction, then you are fine with that oil. You can use it. Always diluted. If you're not fine, you're going to see some redness or some puffiness or something, and that tells you that that oil is not compatible with your chemistry.
Right.
So you always want to patch test it. And if you don't do that, you can be sensitized for the rest of your life, and there's no going back. Never use a citrus oil in the morning or if you're going out in the sun. You don't want to use lemon or orange or bergamot or tangerine because they are phototoxic, and a lot of people don't know that. And if you're going to prepare any kind of formulations or dilute things, don't do it in the sunlight. Always do this indoors. And never use essential oils neat, by themselves in your bath. Always use a dispersant. And the dispersant can be anything from almond milk to vodka to glycerin. Can be a lot of different things. But the essential oil itself is an oil, and it will only spread or cling to a fat. So some people use whole milk, which is fine if you want to do that. But you have to spread it out. Otherwise, you'll get those globules of concentrated oil on your body, and you don't want to do that. And also keep them secure. Your young children and pets can be curious. And if they get into one of those very strong, potent essential oils, they can be harmed. And you don't want that. So I always keep mine in a little dark area in the back of a closet. I keep it in a locked box or a box that I can lock, and sometimes I even lock the cabinet. I just don't want anybody who doesn't know what they're doing to go in there and, whip off the top of a bottle and take a big hefty sniff and hurt themselves or damage their lungs. Now, there are dilutions for children. I said don't use them on children. You can, but never really under the age of 2, and follow the dilutions. Both the elderly and young children require a stronger dilution a greater dilution than someone, let's say, between 18 and 50 or 18 and 60. So you want to follow those charts because you, don't want to harm the sensitive skins or the organs. And you always keep your essential oils away from flame or electrical outlets. They're oils. They'll burn. You don't want to do that. Try not to spill them on your furniture or appliances. Don't leave them open in the air. They will evaporate through the oxygen. And dispose of them properly, which means do not dump them in any waters, systems, or pipes or drains that lead to bodies of water, or where any animal or child could lick them up or drink the water and ingest them. You could kill livestock. You could kill people if you aren't careful with where you dispose of them. Some ways that you can dispose of them correctly are using a citrus or a lemon on your sponge in the kitchen sink. It will disinfect it. It will make it smell better, and that will be a great thing. You want to make sure that it's diluted, and you wash it through with water to make sure it's not too potent. You can also use pieces of old towel or rag and saturate them using them for dryer sheets. You can use them in your drawers to ward off. Lavender is a good protectant against moths, so you can hang them in your closets. Just anywhere that it doesn't touch your body or go into any system. You can freshen a lot of different things if you're careful with them and it doesn't touch your skin.
Right. Well, you said too, I heard you said do not ingest them. But
right.
So when I put a drop of peppermint oil in my tea, that was bad today when I have my upset stomach this morning when I ate something bad yesterday. Well,
out in the marketplace there are capsules that contain peppermint oil that people have for IBS and other intestinal and gastrointestinal upsets. They do use it for that. I don't recommend it. I just don't, unless you're under the supervision of a certified aromatherapist. You just don't know what that's going to do to you. Well, now, if you've been using it and you haven't had any adverse reactions, you've been lucky. That's good.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't use it on my clients. If they have an upset stomach, I will advise them to put a peppermint oil into warm water with a dispersant, to saturate a cloth with that, to place it over their stomach, to massage peppermint oil diluted in a carrier or a massage oil in a clockwise way around their stomach. There are lots of other ways to get peppermint onto the body rather than to ingest it.
Right. Well, normally what I do is I have peppermint tea, but I didn't have any peppermint tea.
Sure. Now, yes, peppermint tea, and that actually came from China 5,000 years ago. The Chinese used it for actually psychological cleansings as well as internal and intestinal control. So the Chinese invented using peppermint oil and peppermint tea for that purpose long time ago.
Right. I know that's been because I was born in Pakistan, and it wasn't Pakistan when my mother was born. It was only India because there was no Pakistan. But that was passed down from generation after generation. You know, she just knew to give you a peppermint tea. And also, when I was nauseous, she would make ginger tea or just boil ginger in water and just make me drink, so this has been around. Speaking of which, essential oils have been around for a long, long time, right?
Well, yes, in 18,000 BCE, there is evidence in Lascaux, France, that the cave drawing people, the ones who had the cave drawings in the Dordogne, they used plant products and plant oils in their lives, and still about 8 of those plants are still in use in that area today. And then King Tut, when they opened his tomb in 1925, for 3,000 years, he had about 300 canoptic jars that contained essential oils, and they had been sealed with wax, and they still had their aroma, and they were still intact. Wow. A lot of the high priests in a lot of religions were the only people that were allowed to make and distill essential oils. Certainly, Avicenna from Persia, he experimented with the alembic still, which was, by the way, invented by Cleopatra the alchemist, not Cleopatra the queen, but Cleopatra the alchemist invented the way that we distill the plants down to extract the oils. And he had a factory, or a factory, up until 150 years ago in Persia that used the same process. The oils, certainly like myrrh, were used by the Crusaders and the Greeks when they went into battle. Hippocrates had a student named Galen, and he was the one who put together little packages for all the people that would fight in the wars, the gladiators. And under his care, not one gladiator died from their wounds when he used his concoction of myrrh essential oil on them.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting because I know it's been around a long time, but I had no idea about that. That's fascinating. Well, okay, so let's talk about your book, because you can't, there's how many essential oils? There's a lot of essential oils out there. So I know you narrowed it down to 50, right?
I did. There's about 300 or 400 essential oils that can be extracted from various different plants. And I'm not talking about the blends that people have, these little miracle blends that are out there that are supposed to solve your life for you. What I did was say, using essential oils or even Bach flowers, one has to use their intuition and their inner healer when you pay attention to these highly vibrational compounds. And that's what people are hesitant to do. That, oh, well, wait a minute, I don't have that kind of intuition. Yes, you do. Everybody does. Everybody has the inner healer. So I wanted to encourage people to really reach down within themselves through either meditation or just confidence and really awaken the inner healer, because it's like an artist to me who approaches a canvas. You look at a blank canvas, but something happens from within that artist and through that mind that comes up with an idea. And then the idea is painted on the canvas with the hands through the body. So I looked at that and I said, well, what if we approached essential oils from the point of view of the artist, which means that you would look at yourself and your life as a blank canvas, and what is it that you need? Well, let's look at some primary colors. Certainly an artist starts out with red, blue, and yellow. That's the primary palette. So I selected 12 oils with which you could start out your primary palette. You'll be able to really help a lot of facets of your life and your body with those first 12. And then just like an artist, we'll mix the secondary colors, which are derivatives of the primary colors in many cases, but they're different colors. So now the artist's whole palette expands, the opportunities expand, and the colors expand. So now they can really craft their picture intuitively, instinctively, and on a very personal basis. And then there's the tertiary palette of colors that you begin to use, and you get some shadowing, and you get the real layers and depth. And then I have the master's palette of essential oils, because those are the things that, you save your pennies for. You get a little piggy bank and you save your money.
Right.
And someday maybe you'll be able to spend a couple of $1,000s for that little vial of tuberose that you really, really, really crave.
Right.
But if you approach it from the healing point of view and you know the scientific pieces of it, you're really able to sculpt your life as a healer yourself. And then study more, read my book, get to know the oils, get to know the first primary palette of 12 oils, learn them. It's just like someone we sit down with over coffee, and we learn more about them when we ask questions. We learn their background. We know where they're from, what they did. And that's why I've constructed my book, so that you get to know these first 12 oils intimately. And when you know them intimately, you're going to have a connection with them. And that begins how you really form your process of healing.
Right. Well, it's interesting that you say, the whole analogy to artists and colors and things like that, because I know there's a quote in your book where David Hawkins said that medicine has forgotten that it was an art, and that science was merely a tool of that art. And it is an art, and it is knowing what your body wants and needs just as much as it is a science too, but I think it's important.
Well, and I love all the pieces of it. I love the scientific part. I like to know what the compounds are. I like to know their atomic structure. I like to know how they interact. I love to know how we inhale that aroma, where it goes in the body, how it triggers the parts of the brain that store our memories and our feelings. So when we use an essential oil, Marcel Proust wrote his book In Search of Time, and it started out with the fragrance of a Madeleine cookie and a cup of tea. And that sensual experience took him back through time and allowed him to really experience his previous life. And that's what it does. The smell system of our bodies trigger our memories, trigger feelings in us, and we really can change those. I talk about an example. Let's say you just had a fight with somebody on the phone, and an hour later you've got to go see them socially. You're mad at them. So what you want to do is you want to dispel that anger before you show up. You want to take your diffuser out, and you want to have some rose and ylang-ylang and maybe some basil and some bergamot and maybe some lavender. You want to calm all that down, and you want to change how you think and feel about that person. Sometimes I've even taken a little cotton ball with me and that I've doused with stuff and put it in a little little snack bag, stuck it in my pocket, and if the person starts to irritate me, I'll just excuse myself, go to the ladies' room, have a couple sniffs of my essential oils, and come back to the table, redistributed. I'm calmer now. But essential oils can change our experience if we let them, and if we are open to their particular power, because they have power on the brain, into the body, through the lungs, and out through the bloodstream, where it is excreted by the liver and kidney. And that's terrific because no drug does that. The essential oils come in, they have like an automatic programming built into them where they know what their specific function is, and they heal that in the body. So when they're done, they're just excreted. They don't stay in your body, and drugs do that. If you've had an inflamed tonsil at the age of 6 and you've been given a penicillin, you're still going to have that in your body when you're 60, or traces of that penicillin compound. But essential oils don't do that. They come in, they go out, they do the job, bye-bye.
Wow, I didn't know that medicine stays in your body that long. And essential oils don't. But now you just talked about, you're in a bad mood, and I've done that with eucalyptus oil. If I'm sick, I will douse some in a cotton ball with some and things like that. And it's actually helped me heal my cold faster as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just a mental thing, it's a physical thing too. Like, let's talk about that. They can heal you, like, right? And even like help you stop addictions and smoking and weight loss, things like that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
They are for, kind of a graphic explanation. They are both uppers and downers. So if you need a lift, you can use a peppermint, or you can use a black pepper. You can use a ginger. You can use something. Now, I always prefer the inhalation of them than I do massaging, for example, to get a quick result, because a massage is a lovely process, but the bioavailability is only at about 5 to 10% through the skin, through the dermis, the epidermis, and then back into the bloodstream, liver, and kidney. So the most powerful way to really use them for healing is through an inhalation. Now, there are some places, and of course I do not recommend this at all, but there are some places in the world they're experimenting with intravenous injections of essential oils. Oh. Highly medical, highly supervised, all of that. But if they find out that certain controlled environments can help people by using the IV, then perhaps that's our future with essential oils. Much more testing has to be done before this is safe or even tried.
Right. I do know that in Japan that some corporations, I read somewhere, and I know I read it somewhere, so I can't swear it's true, but they use lemon oil diffused through the vents in their offices to keep people happy and up and energetic.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's the ergonomic use of them. Absolutely. They're used in workplaces. Just like in Las Vegas casinos, they pump oxygen, high amounts of oxygen through the casinos, and there aren't any clocks. it is a psychological way and a physiological way of controlling their clients because they want them peppy and they want them awake. They feed them drinks all the time at the casino, but they want them to keep gambling. So yes, many smart corporations are doing that, but it's unwise unless they are organic, unless they have tested their workers to make sure that nobody is sensitized for this. Someone could have an allergic reaction, and so I would say they have to be very responsible if they're going to do that.
Right. Okay, so let me ask about, like, if you can essential oils, like, heal, prevent infections, or somebody that has chronic something or other, like lupus, things like, are there essential oils for all of those things as well?
Well, there are. And what you have to do in using essential oils, again, is you have to involve the mind, body, and spirit. You must have the intention for healing. You can certainly try these things. Nothing is a magic pill. It is a combination of your lifestyle, of your exercise, of your diet, with your essential oils, your meditation practices, your spiritual life. All of those things contribute to how you heal with essential oils. Mind you, they're not going to go in like a speeding bullet and just cure everything. They're going to work with you. They are companions. They are helpers. They are not going in, like a cannon blast and they're going to wipe everything out. No, you must cooperate, and that's why they're so sophisticated. Because they are, and that's why you get to say, and this is why I wrote my book. I don't want people to say, let me just take that aspirin and my headache's gone. Your headache will dissipate if you use essential oils, but there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. Are you going to go right out there and do the same kind of stress-causing activities that's going to just give you another headache in 5 minutes? No. You're going to use essential oils, and you're going to do some de-stressors and some physical work, mental and psychological as well. That's how you work with essential oils.
Right. I'm glad you said that, Kac, because really, honestly, there is no magic pill. Unless you're a master, you can't manifest that. You have to work. You have to do the work. And even the essential oils can be phenomenal, but if you're not, like you said, doing the rest of it, then the essential oils anything can only do so much. So I'm glad you said that, because there aren't any. And I'm glad you wrote the book too, because it does get into their healing properties, but how to use them and what else to do with them, because you can't just expect to massage something on you and then voila, the pain's all gone, Well, that's why I've given people options in the book that you can use your chakras, and I lay it out pretty clearly what the chakras are, how these energy fields contribute to the roadmap of your life on a physical and a spiritual and a mental way. And if you use the chakra energy points along with the essential oils that are compatible with those chakras, you can pretty much cure anything in your life. You can use them astrologically according to your sun sign. You can pair them up with sounds. I teach and practice Qigong. I also practice Tai Chi and yoga. All of these disciplines center my body into a power that comes into me from a universal outside power. And I bring that inside and I use that to cleanse and heal along with my essential oils. But I just can't sit back and say, all right, here, a little bottle, you take care of me. I'm just going to continue on my, tickety-boom little life, and there I'm going to go, and you just fix me. No. You all have to work together, and that's the beautiful secret, and what this path, or why this path is so powerful, profound, and transformative. Right, exactly. I'm going to open the lines for anybody to call in. I forgot. See, I could do hours with you, because we only have 20 minutes left here for the maybe 15 to talk, and I forgot to open the line. So if anybody out there has a question for Kac Young, her book is The Healing Art of Essential Oils. please call in 949-313-8880. It's 949-313-8880. Kac will answer your question, I'm sure. So that being said, Kac, can you tell me, everybody out there, where can they find your book and what's your website, and do you do workshops and things like that?
Yes, all of the above. Yes, my book was just published January 8th by Llewellyn Worldwide, and I'm very proud to be under their moniker. I think it's a great honor. And we are taking this kind of on the road. I just spoke in San Jose last weekend. I taught a workshop in San Jose. And I'm really willing to travel anywhere. All we have to do is work out the finances of it, and I'll really go and teach what it is I know to anybody anywhere. We have to have a minimum of people. But the book itself is available. If you want to buy it from Llewellyn, you can do that. If you have a bookstore, you can buy it wholesale directly from Llewellyn, and you just contact the sales department. It's available individually at Barnes & Noble online and also at Amazon online. I think Amazon is sold out, but they're restocking. So your local bookstores might have it for you. You just have to call around, or you can request it. If you want to have a party, a group of people together, and you want to have me on Skype, I'm available hourly if you want to do that. I'm happy to help people in any creative way that we can come up with, because I think it's important that we know what to use, how to use it, and then begin to create our own way of having a relationship with these essential oils.
Right. You didn't say your website, though. What is your website? My
website is healingartofessentialoils.com.
Okay. Healing Art of Essential Oils, plural?
Yes, essentialoils.com. Correct.
Okay,
don't put the in front of it. It's just the healingartofessentialoils.com. And we're just perfecting it now. It's up now, but I'm putting a resources page, and I'm putting all kinds of information up there where people can access it and get to know a little bit more. I will continue to write articles and post them, etc. So you can find me, you can contact me, you can send me an email, whatever it is you want to do. The only thing I don't do is diagnose for you. If you want to become a client of mine, you have to sign a waiver, of course, because anytime I deal with someone and we're trying to solve a problem, we have to do the correct legal thing. And I will see people. I can see them by Skype, all kinds of creative ways.
Right. That's wonderful. I do, you talked about being really careful about the oils, that they be organic, and I couldn't agree more. But is there a certain brand that you use, that you like, that you recommend?
Yes, I have 5 or 6 places that I purchase my oils from, and they're in no particular order. But the main thing is that you go on and you make sure that each oil is organic, period, end of story. So I use Organic Infusions, organicinfusions.com. I use mountainroseherbs.com. I use essentialoil.com. I use EdenBotanicals.com, and I use bulkapothecary.com. Plus, I use I import some of my my special European essential oils from the Santi-shop, SANTI-shop in Luxembourg. And I like to get my German chamomile from there, and there's a few other things that I like to get from Europe. And I have to make sure that I'm buying the organic or the wild crafted. And there are symbols, which I have also on my site. One is the USDA organic logo, and the other one is the EU logo, which is a green leaf outlined in white dots. And those are on my site as well, so you know what you're buying. The words therapeutic, pure, 100% natural, all that stuff is marketing. That has nothing to do with the oil itself. The only words you care about are organic, certified organic, or EU. That's all you care about. The rest of that is hype. Don't fall for it.
Right. That's so true. I use essentialoil.com. So I'm glad to hear my source was on your list. I was like, yay! I kept quiet, but I did internally say yay. It's true though. And cause a lot of people, you run into a clothing store, even at Macy's now or somewhere, you see these little stress kit, oil kit or something, with a blend of things that smell good, but they're not essential oils. They're just smell good,
They're just smell good. And too, when these companies blend things for you. Now you might, with the organic people, you might say, okay, I like their stress blend. That might be a pretty safe thing. But here's the thing. This is where the art comes in. You know your body. You know your organoleptic senses, and that is the use of your own sight, smell, sound, taste, your intuitive sense about the oil. When you inhale it or you get close to it, it triggers something for you.
Right.
It's going to be different what triggers me and what triggers you.
Right.
Therefore, you concoct your own blend for stress. What is really going to resound for you? That's what I want to encourage. That's why I don't want people to buy stuff off the shelf. Just get to know your oils a little bit. Read this book. It doesn't take that long.
Right.
Yes, it's 398 pages, but it's all essential information, and it will set you up in a relationship with someone. I mean, you wouldn't go out with or marry somebody that you didn't know a lot about. Same thing with the oils. If you're going to deal with your body, you better get to know them. So I like to encourage that intuitive relationship. Blend your own, experiment, do, trials with them. And sometimes you'll succeed and sometimes you say, oh, blech, that didn't work. Let me try something else.
Right.
That's when you have your magic and your sacred moments. That's where the healing occurs, really, and that's how you get to your intuitive inner healer that way.
Well, nobody knows your body like you do. And also, what works for me, I told you earlier before we went on live, really quickly we chatted, lavender oil just makes me high. I love it. It's just my stress release. It helps me sleep at night. But that may not be true for somebody else. It is for me,
True.
Right.
And lavender does have many, many different qualities. I mean, it's antibacterial, for example. Rene Gattefossé, he is the one who discovered that lavender oil really works well on burns. I mean, he certainly knew the properties. He was a perfumer, and he and his brother did perfume blends in France. But he became fascinated with how the oils worked on the body, and so he burned himself one day, and he had gaseous gangrene, and he put some diluted lavender oil on his arm, and it reduced his scar tissue. There was really no sign of it, and it calmed it down. It stopped hurting, and he really healed because of all the lavender oil. And then he went full-time and worked with doctors in Lyon and scientists in order to really perfect more and more blends that would heal and help people naturally through this natural compound. Mm-hmm. So it started that way. Now, for me, I had to drive to San Jose in the pouring torrential rain. By the time I got there, I'd been in the car 8 hours, and I had to do a talk. So I have a little pendant that sometimes I saturate with an essential oil if I want a little lift. So I saturated that pendant, which has a little felt in it. It's an aromatherapy pendant. And I doused it with peppermint and lemon. So I would take a little sniff of that throughout my talk, which was a 2-hour talk, and I was able to sustain my energy and stay awake and be bright and hopefully articulate at the time.
Yeah.
But I use them all the time. They are my buddies. If I burn something, I will actually go to my little kit and I will blend up some things, dilute it, and use it on my burn. So they are things that I live with. They're my partners.
Right, exactly. Well, I can't believe nobody has a question for you, but I'm going to put up the number one more time if you've got a quick question, because now we're running short on time. 949-313-8880. And your book actually, Kac, it's a fast read too, or maybe because it just drew me in. And I learned so much because, like, I do like lavender, so, I keep saying that. But I did go to lavender, and I went to a couple other things like rosemary that I use just to see. And I learned some, I didn't know that you can use lavender oil for dandruff.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I have dandruff, but I mean, I found that fascinating. And really, honestly, your book goes because you're highlighting each oil and you're giving a lot of information, but it's not a dense book. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't get carried away. You give the information and then you move on to the next.
Well, and it's meant to be a lifetime reference book, so that if you want to read through it and say, okay, and I suggest that people read the first few chapters, including the primary palette of 12 oils. Just read through the 12 oils, get familiar, then go out and buy a few. And buy organic, just buy less. Organic is generally a little bit more expensive. That's okay, just buy less. And then when you've experimented with those and you've done some blends and you've kept a record of those and you've labeled them and you've experimented with them, then live with that for a few months. Then go to the secondary palette and pick out the ones that really resonate to you. That's why I tell the stories about them. I tell the history. I tell things about them so that you can kind of warm up to them. And pick out one or two or three that resonate to you and try those, and then use those in blends with the primary palette. And then when that gets exciting, and I promise you it will, because if you get into this stuff and you keep seeing the results and you find a compatibility with them, you're hooked. So then you go all the way, through the book, but you can always refer to, there's tons of tips for how to use each oil. There's I give a little bit of information of what they blend well, who they blend well with, who are their best friends. And so you can start with that. But you will get creative and make up your own. Pretty soon, if you get, you can always refer back to it, but you'll become confident. Like, you'll take your training wheels off and you ride your bike by yourself. That's what I hope to do, so that people and their families, they will get to know them, they will pass it on, and they will stop being so reliant on external chemical compounds, and they'll start first with the natural ones. Now, I'm not saying that the medical world is not good. I love the medical world. I think doctors are fabulous, and I think a lot of their cures and helps are terrific. But we can do so much ourselves with our own bodies, using our inner healer and using natural compounds, if we incorporate all the tools we have, change our diet, stop smoking, reduce our alcohol input, get more exercise, breathe, learn how to breathe, and really exercise your body the way it was meant to be, as this perfect temple. And if you do that, you don't have to live in a convent to do this. You can just do this yourself. When you bring in those healing elements, essential oils are your compatible friends, and you're not afraid of them. You say, well, let me use this, and what if I meditated burning this one or diffusing that one? There's also magical uses for essential oils that have been used throughout the centuries. So they can become real companions for you, and that's what I want to encourage. I want, instead of people being in their 60s and 70s and 80s and having 12 pills that they take a day, what if they had 2 or 3 essential oils instead that maintain their health for them and really help them age gracefully, beautifully, healthfully, and naturally?
Well, that's well put. Excellent, actually. And it's true, because, I mean, a weight loss rub or an anti-addiction something or other may not be the same blend for one person as it is for another. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, because it depends on what you resonate to.
Right.
I had a friend who had kind of an abusive mother, and she made her eat an entire plate of black pepper when she was a kid as a punishment. And, of course, so I can't even say the word black pepper around her. If she were trying to lose weight, then I would never recommend black pepper for her, although that's really good. I would probably go to a ginger or something. But that scent memory for her is lethal. That's what you have to take into consideration when you're diagnosing or dealing with people, what they, what they have. Yeah, so I had another friend whose parents were...
Oh, that's...
Go ahead.
No, the book is full of information. I mean, really, the healing art of essential oils. We've run out of time. I mean, basically, it's crazy. But I wanted to have a minute before you got off the air to just repeat the name of your website, which is Healing Art of Essential Oils without the in the front.com, right? And
yes.
And your name is Kac, K-A-C. And Young, Y-O-U-N-G. This has all been really fascinating. You can get her book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble online or at Llewellyn.com. And I'm sure it's for sale on your website as well, too, right?
No, it is not. I
not
don't.
Yet.
Okay. I sell nothing on my website. I am here for information and to teach and to give of my expertise. That's what I do. So all the monetary stuff goes through someone else. I just want this to be pure.
Well, it sounds like it is pure. It's a fascinating book. I didn't even get to a bunch of questions I had. I've written down here. I could that would be another hour. So I didn't get to everything, but I just so appreciate you taking the time now. As parting words, we've just got like another minute and we're going to get off the line. What 3 oils are your favorite, or are there 3, or is that?
Well, for me, personally, I love lavender, I love peppermint, and I love lemon. Those are my 3. And then, of course, I say, oh, well, what about ylang ylang? And what about eucalyptus? And what about tea tree? And what about rosemary?
Right,
so then, all that kind of gets stirs up. But those are 3 that I pretty much travel with. Mm-hmm. They handle a lot of things for me. Oh, so I would say to everybody, don't use my favorite 3. Find your own and use them.
Right. Well, thank you, Kac Young, for joining me on a Sunday night on your time off to speak to me. It's been a great show. The Healing Art of Essential Oils, Amazon, all over the place. I highly, highly recommend it. It's really a great book, and thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Servette.
You take care. Bye. Wow, that was a great show. She's got so much information. We could have literally talked another hour. I could do another show. I'd have to do another show with her. Yes, that's just a done deal, right? We'll just make that happen. Anyway, my website is ServetteHassan.com. ServetteHassan.com. All of my books are on there, including the latest Life in Transition, also by Llewellyn Worldwide. Also, you can find out about my workshops, etc., on there. I also do spiritual counseling and help people one-on-one, but you can find out my travel schedule and all that kind of stuff too. I am going to start up again with Memos from My Higher Self weekly instead of daily like I did all of last year. So that'll come up pretty soon. It's been a kind of hard, little bit of a difficult, I shouldn't say that. That's bad. It's been a challenging first month, just a lot going on. So I'll get started on that very soon. And if you miss a show, or you want to hear it again, I always post them on YouTube. My YouTube channel, Servette Hassan channel on YouTube. And next week we have a really good guest. I believe it's Nancy Yearout, and she has written a book called Wake Up! The Universe is Speaking to You. It's a great book. I have it right here in front of me. Anyway, please join me for that, and thank you for joining me tonight. All of my shows are everything I do, actually all of my work is designed to help you find your true self, your authentic self, because that's what makes your life really happen. and get you where you want to go in the end. So it's all about being true to yourself. So be you to the full, because that's what's truly beautiful. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I will be with you next week, I hope. Thank you, and good night.